Allison Fluke Ekren was born in Lawrence, Kansas, and grew up in a picturesque 81-acre farm in Overbrook, Kansas, in a loving and stable home. Her grandfather served in the Navy during World War II, and her father served in the Army in Vietnam. As a child, she liked to torment her younger brother for fun and even tried to drown him in an icy lake. She became pregnant at 16 and married her first husband, a mechanic named James Fluke, in 1996. She had a son, Gabe, and daughter, Elena, with him before divorcing in 2002. Her ex husband called her a con artist and said that something is deeply broken inside her. She liked to abuse her children and would choke her son until he passed out. She locked him in tight spaces until he defecated on himself and poured salt or chemicals into his wounds. Her son said she is a monster who enjoys torturing children for sexual pleasure. She is skilled in using her emotions to manipulate people. Allison also liked to abuse her daughter and would beat her regularly. Allison met her second husband, Vulcan Ekren, while studying biology at the University of Kansas. Vulcan was an international student who came from a rich family in Turkey. She converted to Islam and worked as a high school teacher while earning a master's degree in teaching. After graduation, she moved to Egypt to avoid paying back her almost $90,000 student loan debt. She took Gabe and Elena with her without her first husband's permission. She said she would give James his children back in exchange for $6,000. James wanted to do things the legal way through the courts and also did not believe that Allison would keep her promise, so he refused. This angered Allison, so she lied and told James that his daughter was dead just to spite him. Allison then severed all contact with everyone in the U.S. and was never heard from again. James became depressed because his children were gone, his daughter was possibly dead, and he would probably never see his kids again. Eventually, when Gabe was 17 years old, he would run away from home and get back to the U.S. and be reunited with James. His sister Elena was not able to escape, and she was never heard from again. To this day, it is unclear if she is alive or dead. At the time of this video, Gabe is 26 years old, and Elena would be 25 if she is still alive. Allison became a full-blown terrorist and joined ISIS, where she created a military battalion of women called Katiba Nusayba in February 2017 to teach women how to be terrorists. She radicalized Vulcan and convinced her husband to become the leader of a terrorist sniper team. Allison had more children with Vulcan. One of them was a girl named Layla Ekren, who is now 21 years old, but when she was 10 years old, she contracted typhoid fever. But Allison didn't care and made her go through military training while she was sick. Layla was malnourished to the point that her ribs showed through her skin, her nose would bleed frequently, and she would have random seizures. Yet, her mother did nothing to help her. Layla was degraded her entire life, and when she was just 13 years old, Allison forced her to marry a random ISIS fighter. Allison did this to gain political influence within ISIS. Layla was raped repeatedly until she became pregnant. Allison didn't care and abandoned her daughter in Raqqa with her rapist ISIS terrorist husband to be a sex slave for the rest of her life. With the help of the U.S. government, Layla managed to escape and got back to Kansas, where she gave birth. Allison would later deny the allegation that she forced her then 13-year-old daughter to marry a terrorist and would say that Layla wanted to do it. Allison also discussed plans to detonate bombs in American malls and colleges. Vulcan was eventually killed in a U.S. airstrike in 2016 in Tel Abyad, Syria. Allison remarried to another terrorist named Mohammed Zafar, who was a Bangladeshi Islamic State group member specializing in drones, but he was killed in an airstrike in Raqqa, Syria in 2016. Her fourth husband was Mohammed Doe, another Bangladeshi Islamic State group member who died fighting in Raqqa, Syria in 2018. After her fourth husband died, Allison got tired of being a terrorist and decided to leave the terrorist group in May 2019. She married her fifth husband named Mahmoud Mustafa, a Syrian but not a terrorist. She decided to marry a regular guy and try to live a non-terrorist lifestyle, raising her children and teaching in a school in Syria. Her marriage with Mahmoud imploded, so she left him and surrendered herself to a local police station in the summer of 2021. She was arrested and transferred to the U.S. She was tried and convicted and sentenced to 20 years in prison. That's the end of the video. If you like the video, then remember to like and subscribe. It only takes 2 seconds and it would really help me out. Feel free to check out the other videos on my channel.